everyone! Today we have Lina here with us to talk more about Germany and specifically the conflict between Swabian and Badener. I'm trying not to butcher the word, but yeah. And so before we dive right into the specific conflict, can you tell us a little bit more about Germany and what people think about German? For this session, we will tell you some of the stereotypes that we or other people have about Germany and German, and then you could share with us what you think about these stereotypes.
Okay, so what do you think about the refugee crisis in Germany right now?
I think Germany is very split about it because we have such a big history of immigration, and for me personally, my grandpa is a refugee in the economic sense back in the day when they actually wanted people to come to Germany to work. He came from Italy when he was 16, and my family's actually really trying to get involved. We're mentoring a refugee family from Afghanistan, and my godmother, she's the coordinator for all of my state for the refugees where they're placed. So I do have you see them even in the small towns, and especially my state, there's a lot of them because we have the resources for it. But we've also seen a big rise of the more conservative voices, especially in politics, since the refugees, because a lot of people are fearful that they're going to take our jobs, they're going to change the culture, make us all of a sudden a Muslim country or something, which I don't really understand. Yeah.
So would you say that how do people talk about immigrant crisis in a daily conversation, or do you talk about it at all?
I mean, it is a big topic because especially in the past couple of years, it was hard to look away. My school gym when I was in high school was closed down because there was refugees living in there. So there was no way we could have not noticed and not talked about it in our everyday life. And people would spray paint racist stuff on the refugee home back where I live, and I found it very interesting to see who speaks up in what way, because especially where I live, there's more conservative voices, but even within them, there's people who are oh, we're gonna have to help them still, even though we don't support them, we need to help them and send them back. And then there's those who why are these people even here? There's a big spectrum of we as human beings want to support these people who are suffering, but we don't want them to take advantage of us. And then there's those who as human beings, we don't want them suffering, so we're going to invite them all in. There's a difference between those two.
And what about how Merkel deals with this situation? Because from the outside, we've heard kind of both sides. Maybe for me, I guess more good than bad. But then how is it in Germany? How do people talk about Merkel and what she does?
I think I can only speak from my interpretive lens, and I really like how she handled the situation, but she does have a lot of opposition, and I think she's a powerful woman, and also her ethnic standards that she showed when all of this crisis has been emerging, because it had been coming for longer, but nobody was addressing the issue. I think there's a big culture of blaming her in Germany. It's half comedy, but there's whenever something goes wrong in slang, we say, "Oh, thank you, Merkel." I don't know, you can't find a parking lot. Oh, thank you, Merkel. So there's this culture of almost blaming her, but then if anyone was in her situation, I don't think there would have been a better choice considering ethnics, economics, politics, because before she invited people in, they were just dying at the borders of the European Union. So it wasn't there was a solution.
So what do you think would happen in the post-Merkel era, which is happening very soon?
Yeah, I mean, she's not going to be even running for election again.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I don't know her, which party will be the most successful, because there's been a lot of shift in the past couple of years. The Alternative for Germany, which is the party that emerged out of the refugee crisis, they're anti-Europe, very critical towards refugees. They've gained a lot of power in Germany, and they basically went from 0 to a big amount of seats in the parliament. So I don't know how that will possibly influence the election. I don't think they're gonna be in the in a reigning party, because we have so many that they have to work together and nobody wants to work with them. But it could also make it really hard to actually find a majority in the parliament if there's too many small parties.
And does it have to do with regional difference too? like how different regions or like the whole Germany has like this
Okay,
unified idea?
I'm from southwestern Germany, Baden-Württemberg, which is probably one of the most liberal states. Where in Bavaria, for example, there's more conservative voices of, especially towards the refugees. And in some parts of northern, like former Eastern Germany, there's more support for the alternative for Germany and like voices against the refugees, which is ironic because most of the refugees actually are in like the more of the cities and like southern German regions. But I don't really know how this is gonna turn out. Like I'm fearful for like the whole world, which is turning towards a more nationalistic
Yeah.
perspective, and those voices are rising in Germany. But I still think that we have mostly like the majority is still more towards the liberal side than the conservative.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as we can see, there are many distinct and diverse culture within Germany, and that naturally brings it to have conflict not only like outside with like other countries, but also inside. For example, Swabians and Badeners, which brings us to cookies and conflict. So, can you start us off with introducing what these two groups are?
Okay, so the state where I'm from is called Baden-Württemberg, and it's a really young state, even within Germany, because before then it had like over 150 years history of being two distinct states or even kingdoms within Germany, and they just got put together in the 1950s, which a lot of people from each region did not support. So out of that, there was not an open conflict, but a very a hostile feeling between those countries. And even though we're one state and we have to work together, you can sometimes still feel that hostility. And I think it makes sense to like look at the development of the map in Germany to make sense of this, because then there was Baden as its own kingdom, and then Schwaben and Hohenzollern as another kingdom. So they've always been separate, and they've always both been like really strong economic powers within Germany. Had a little bit of this rivalry between them, and now in the 50s, most of the economic power and all that got shifted towards Swabia. So, for example, the government is now in Stuttgart, which is the capital of Württemberg, and the Badeners, they lost a lot of their economic and political freedom, which they did not like at all. And you can still see that today in like various ways. For example, if you, as a Swabian, who we're like the most made fun of ethnic group in Germany, I would say.
So we saw on the website.
We're like the
Scots.
Yeah, we have this reputation of being like very miserly people, only working, no fun, no humor. People don't understand us. If like Swabian language has some really distinct words that are like very unfamiliar, and in some regions of Germany, there's even like a word for Schwabenhass, which just translates into hating Swabians. It's a word, it exists. So I actually talked to my grandma about this like this morning, and she says that like she experienced the Union as a child, and she remembers that all like from the Swabian perspective, all people would ever talk about is the Badener, they hate us, like they're like. My grandma was really angry whenever she would like drive from Baden to Swabia, and there was like a road sign, and they're still there, like road sign saying you're leaving Baden.
Wow.
Which they're like, we need to get one of those, like no. And there's like we're officially one country. Like there's no way we're like fighting or violent or anything. But like sometimes it still comes through. Like the Badeners, they hold on to their hymn. Like they have their own national hymn, Badener Lied. So for example, there's this a radio show who does like a rating, like the top 100 songs, and you call in and like vote for your song, and they always manage to get their like national hymn under the top. And then the Swabians have another song from like a Swabian comedian that is like promoting how great we are, and it's kind of this battle of like who gets their song better in the ratings. So it's almost a funny conflict, and same with the soccer violence. So it's like very entertaining and like very very high demand for the soccer games between Karlsruhe SC, which is Karlsruhe used to be the capital of Baden before they were unified, and the Stuttgart VfB, because whenever they play, there's like big derbies and riot police and people throw like fireworks on the field. It's a whole lot of drama. Like they set flags on fire. I mean, it gets really intense, and I think it's just kind of their way of expressing like an underlying conflict that has a lot of hurt feelings and like past trauma involved, but it's not openly discussable because we are one like state, and there was like a vote for the union. Like it's not like it was pressed on us, but the majority supported it, but a lot of people felt unheard in their non-support. So that's why it's such an interesting and like unheard of conflict, because there's no sources on it from an English perspective even.
Right.
Like I tried looking up English sources and it does not exist. But when you're there, you definitely see it.
Okay. So like, you think in some way it also contributes to the rise of nationalism? Because like, to my understanding, like nationalism is really about like having a group of people that you really identify with. Yeah. And then like kind of when you're trying to get that sense of belongings, you're trying to segregate yourself from other people.
I think there's a difference between like trying to hold on to your own culture and like being proud of that in a sense, and hating another culture.
Okay.
Like you can totally be proud of your own culture and like express your traditions and your dialect and all of that, and like still have open arms for people from different regions. And I think Stuttgart is actually a really good example because they have one of the highest rates of immigrants and people with like different nationalities living in Swabia, and it works most of the time. But there's always going to be closed-minded people who who are fearful that it's going to bring too much change.
Okay.
And like their traditions will die off or something. Where I feel like if you personally like have these traditions and they're important to you, then they're not going to go away just because someone else comes into your country. Like you can still have all these traditions, and like the refugee family that we mentor, they love all of the German food, and like whenever we cook for them, or like we were showing them like Advent and like Christian holidays and like introduced them to all that, and they were so excited and to learn about it. And I went to like break the fast during the Ramadan at their house, and like I totally walked in and like made some really weird cultural mistakes. Like I shake the man's hand there and got asked like, is that normal? Like, do you guys do that? Like as a woman, can you shake like, his hand? And like, well, I didn't think about it, but yeah, I think we just need to remember that holding on to your own culture is not the same as rejecting someone else's culture. Like you can hold on to your own culture and still celebrate Ramadan with a Muslim family, and you can still listen to someone talking about their experience, like fleeing from a different country and being a refugee. And I think that's what needs to be remembered in all of these cultural differences.
That's so beautiful. Thank you.
That's so true though. And do you think that this is like similar to the Swabian-Badener's conflict at first?
A little bit. Like
so do you think like it will resolve gradually as time goes on, or do you think like possibly the same situation would happen between the refugee and
I think what's gonna happen is people will forget why they're hostile towards each other. Like especially with the soccer.
Yeah. Why?
Like I think they're always gonna have this like weird rivalry. But the next generations are gonna forget why it's even there. They're just gonna remember, oh, we hate the soccer club, and it gives them a chance to like express their anger for different things. Like I actually wrote my complex systems assignment about emergent properties about these two soccer teams and like how there's like these different levels of political issues that drive the violence. And then there's also alcohol and like all of these things involved. So, yes, levels of analysis. So yeah, I mean, people are always gonna have conflicts, and this is just one of those excuses that they use to be violent towards each other.
Great. So one last question.
Okay.
If you have to sum up what you really want your audience, everyone, to remember, what would that be? Like one thing.
So I think if you wanted to take one point out of this, it would be that it's possible to hold onto your own like culture and history and dialect without rejecting someone else's. I think once you can hold these two like seemingly like black and white things together, that's when the conflict is gonna die off, hopefully.
Great.
Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much.
much. So if you have similar conflict that you want to share with us, you can either comment down below or sign up in the link that we'll also put down below there. And have a chat with us over cookies. So see you next time. Bye.
Bye.